Right, straight to your sports. In keeping with the theme of Women's Day as well as Women in Sport, we are joined in studio by Royal AM Club owner Shauwn Mkhize. Shauwn, thank you very much for joining us. A very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, and happy Women's Day, and happy Women's Day to the listeners as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and happy Women's Day to you too. But, I mean, we've seen a lot of women in football that owned clubs the same way that you do, but we haven't really seen them doing things the way that you do in terms of bringing glamour to football. We see you walk around with an entourage, reality show. I mean, when you became a club owner generally, has it always been your intention that you don't want to do things the same way that we're doing things as the club owners in the country, as in like trying to change the narrative in terms of the way we look at football?
I think it came about when COVID kicks in. You know, sports and football has been the most entertaining thing in SA. Mm-hmm. And when COVID came in, it became so boring because it was just players on the field and no supporters. Mm-hmm. So I sat and I looked into it and I said, how do I make it interesting? Then the only way I could have made it interesting is to become the #1 supporter for my team. And I think it started there. And if you look at how Europe do sports, I think it's something that we need to make sports to become, because sports is something that is supposed to unite a lot of people.
Absolutely. I mean, as much as you're saying that, it also came with a lot of critics. Most people or some people saying that, okay, yes, we see what she's doing, but it seems like she doesn't really know what she's doing. How do you deal then with such critics?
I must say we all make mistakes in life and we learn from our mistakes. But I don't get the noise of the world to determine who I am and where I want to go to. The gist of the matter, you look at the criticisms and you take the constructive criticisms and learn from that going forward. If I can be honest with you, if I listened to the noise of the world when they were saying I was going to be relegated, and look at where I went last season, I became #3, then I was going to be discouraged and not focus on my journey that I wanted to do.
Then what keeps you motivated to keep going?
You know, when somebody says it's impossible, that's what keeps me going, because I want to know how does it become impossible. Then I want to change the impossibilities and make them into possibilities. I must say, it's not an easy journey, but you must just have a determination and develop a thick skin of saying, I want to do this. And by nature, I'm not a failure.
I mean, right now we're talking about critics outside the club. How then do you deal with critics within the club? Just last week we saw your CEO hosting his own press conference, but we haven't really heard what you say as the club owner in terms of what he was saying to the public.
I deal with my matters internally so. And I think I've closed that matter. I've asked everybody to give us a break and allow us to deal with anything that we need to deal with internally so, because there's not even a single club that their matters are run by the media. And as a president, I have to put my foot down and allow the process of the Royal AM to take its course.
I mean, talking about Royal AM, we saw them doing well last season, and I must congratulate you on beating Kaizer Chiefs yet again. I'm sure you feel proud for seeing such happening, but what is the vision for Royal AM?
Royal AM, there's few visions. Number one, Chairman wants to see the young and upcoming talent showcasing their talent, not taking the big names only, and giving them an opportunity to reach Europe, because it's every player's dream to be playing internationally. So how do we do that? We must allow them a space when we can into Royal AM to showcase their talent. And I think that's going to happen. And the vision for us, we had a 3-year plan. You know, the first year we wanted to have the stability. The second year we wanted to come to the top 8. And the third year we wanted to compete. And that's our vision. And we also want to change how people look at football and change the status quo and make it interesting again.
I mean, just recently you also launched a female team, something that just looking at some of the clubs that have been in the DSTV Premiership or in the PSL, haven't really yet launched their women's side. What made you launch a women's team now rather than later?
I must say, I always look at opportunities that are not looked up by anyone else. If you look at women's football, Banyana is doing very well than Bafana Bafana. But there is nothing, nobody is giving them the support that you all give to Bafana Bafana. One would thought that when they won, it was going to be a big thing in South Africa, but it was just, so I want to go into that market of the women's and see what I can do as Shauwn to change the status quo and bring in the change into the women's football, because I would love to see it one day having the same league as the men's league and seeing the big teams that are in the men's league coming to join in the ladies league so that we can attract more sponsors in that league. For me, I want to see change in the women's football. I want to see, that gap that people are always talking about between the male and female in sports. I would love for us to bridge that gap.
I mean, you're talking about your women's team, seeing the likes of Mamelodi Sundowns ladies who are doing well year in, year out. Is that a form of motivation for you?
Yes, I must say, when I came in, I was like, okay, where is Sundowns? And I believe they're playing in Africa. And it can't be Sundowns only. And, some of the teams that are there, Sundowns is well established. They've got all the resources that they need. So we need to come in there and make sure that the other teams as well, they are resourceful so that they'll be able to compete in the same space with Sundowns. Because football is supposed to be for all. Football is supposed to be equal to everybody and be entertaining to everybody. So for me, yes, there are motivation, and I must say, Sundowns is doing very well, both in the men's and in the females, even on the disky. So we need to find out, they are well equipped. How do we equip other teams so that they are able to compete the same way as Sundowns is competing?
What comes with being a club owner in South Africa as a woman?
It comes with so much of responsibility. Number one, there are so many women that look up to us as their inspiration. And it comes up with so much of challenges because you are a woman in a male-dominated industry, which is not easy, but you push, you keep on pushing, and don't give up.
I mean, then in terms of the finances of a team, because obviously we've seen some teams coming in and unfortunately not being able to stay within the main league. What comes with having a team and making sure that it sustains itself season in, season out?
To be honest with you, I so wish each and every team that's in the league does have a sponsor. Because the grant itself, it's not enough. You'll find other teams battling to get the right players because they can't afford it. Sometimes when you own a soccer team, you need to have a little bit of funding to top up because the money that comes for the grant is not enough. I must say, I take my hats off to the KZN municipality for supporting us as the KZN clubs. And I would like to see other municipalities as well doing that for the other clubs that are coming in and other people coming to support the sports as well, to sponsor, because the cost, it's too much there.
I can only imagine. But I mean, you touched on some of the challenges that you faced as a club owner. What are your thoughts then on the inequality of, or gender inequality in football in terms of club owners?
I think for now, there will always be gender inequalities. As much as we said we fought for 50-50 and it's put in paper, it's us as women who needs to go in there and change the status quo. I would love to see a lot of women being in power, taking those positions and occupying them, because I can tell you, if women are occupying the strategic position, there will be so much change. Women are able, I'm not saying men are not, but women are able to change things and look at things differently than men.
And well, it's been a big topic actually in the media since Banyana came back in terms of equal pay. We even heard the president himself saying that it's high time that we have equal pay for both men and women. Do you think we have the right people in charge that actually care about the players' needs, whether it's men or women?
I think so, and I'm not sure. I can't comment a lot on that, but as I've said at the beginning, we need people to support the sport. If we are saying sport is what unites people in South Africa, we need to pay more attention into sport and support it, because the way to support it is for people to support the teams. You know, I went into the Women's League. There is no sponsor there. Not even a single team got the sponsor, and it's bad. So we need to make sure that we attract, and people in power, I'm urging them to look into sports and see how can they assist.
I just need to ask you this one, and I've always wanted to ask you this one before I let you go. Someone like Mama Joy, who's been with Orlando Pirates for years, how do you convince a super fan of such a big club to switch and come and support you guys?
It's not about convincing. I think Mama Joy is a woman. She saw my strides. She saw my fights. And she felt it. As I've told you, women, they can feel it. She felt it. And when I went to the PSL, I think she was like, oh my goodness me, I need to support this woman. I didn't convince her. I didn't even know her.
So you didn't go to her and say, please come join us?
No. I think she just looked at this woman. And I must say, women must stand up for each other. We need to stand up in women and support each other. Because if we do, this is what's going to happen. You'll find Mama Joy coming in. I must say, I will always thank her for taking that decision, because she has been with Pirates for so long. And it was an honor for me to see her switching strides and coming to this side.
Well, Shauwn, thank you very much for joining us, and wishing you nothing but the best this season for Royal AM, both men and women's team. That is Royal AM owner Shauwn Mkhize, just talking about some of the issues that she faces as an owner, a club owner in the PSL.